Hey Jonesy Babes and Anonymous Jonesy Babes, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about Diddy's trial, okay? And we're going to keep talking about it until it ends. So, who's on the stand? We're going to start with David James. Now, he was on the stand yesterday, so now he's continuing on today. Now, when he was on the stand yesterday, he was kind of emotional and he was wiping the tears from his eyes. Now, a new picture has been released. A newly released picture shows a chef's knife in Cassie Ventura's apartment door. Last week, she testified she used the knife to protect herself in case Sean Diddy Combs dropped by after they broke up in 2018. I was getting a lot of unannounced visits from Sean, and I was trying to unalive two birds with one stone, she said on Wednesday. Lock it, and I had a weapon. First of all, why is he popping up if they're not together? Why? If they're not together, why is he making unannounced visits to her home? Well, maybe he was funding her lifestyle. So maybe that's one of the apartments he was paying for. But she did say, I do remember her saying that she had another apartment that she paid for. So I'm not sure if she was at the one that he was paying for or the one that she paid for. But if you're not together, why are you popping up? But then when they were on break and she was talking to Michael B. Jordan, he was having a fit about that. See, Diddy is the type of guy, you can't give him any money, okay? Because look how he acts. He feels like he's invincible, that nobody could touch him. All right? When you work for him, you're in his world. You do everything he tells you to do. You don't challenge him. You don't ask any questions. And he wants to be in control of everything and everyone. And a person like that is dangerous. Very dangerous. Why do you think he named his record company Bad Boy? Because that's what he is. And if you look at the logo of Bad Boy, isn't that logo a picture of a boy, I think with his pants down, relieving himself? Isn't it? Yeah. Bad Boy Diddy, that think he run the city. But we all know that he isn't pretty. He's silly, but he isn't pretty. He thinks he's above everything and everyone. And like I said, a person like that is dangerous. Very dangerous. And he had control over Cassie. She was young, you know. He knew what he was doing when he got with her. He knew exactly what he was doing. Okay. So, it's a new day at Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial, but there seems to be some chaos in the courtroom. Witness David James has already taken the stand, but 4 jurors are missing from the jury box. It's important to remember the jurors, you know, that there are 12 of them, and they aren't being sequestered, meaning they can go home each night, but they're not permitted to talk to anyone about the case or read anything about it. So once the jurors are all in the box, the court will continue. So I see they released the pictures of Jonathan Oddie and Jules, and some other pictures are released of the guys from the freak-offs. And it happened yesterday. After court was let out yesterday, over a dozen pictures of the male escorts whom Sean Combs is accused of forcing Cassie to have sex with during freak-offs were released to the public after being shown to the jury last week. The images include the faces of Jules, who was at the 2016 freak-off at the Los Angeles hotel where Combs beat Cassie in the hallway. Oh, So this is Mr. Clean, huh? He's the one that was there. Jules. Okay. And Jonathan Oddie, who met up with the former couple in Miami and was later arrested for storming a Trump hotel in 2018. So I know Jonathan Oddie because he looks crazy to me. Could never forget that face. All right. David James testified that Sean Combs went through his laptop after a blog post was published saying he hit Cassie at the club. James said Combs came home from the club to confront him and see if he had written the post, which he said was lying. As soon as he entered the door, he beelined straight for me. James, terrified, saying he pulled up the computer search history to look through it. No one had ever done that to me, James said on the stand. And by you being a man, just like Diddy is a man, why did you allow it? But I get it. I understand. You can't talk back to Diddy. You can't speak up for yourself around Diddy. So I get it. Last week, Cassie Ventura testified about a time when Sean Combs beat her and left her badly bruised. She told the jurors that Combs sent her to the London hotel for a week to recover so that her injuries wouldn't be seen by the public. James testified that while Cassie was at the London hotel, Combs told him to bring her some fried chicken. When he brought her the food, he testified he was surprised to see one of Combs' staff answer the door instead of Cassie. Sean Combs' former assistant David James testified that he set up Combs' hotel rooms when he traveled. He was asked to fill the hotel rooms with food and drinks like applesauce, Jell-O, Fiji water, and Ciroc vodka. James also said he would fill the hotel rooms with clothes and toiletries. He would put about 40 products, mostly skincare, in Combs' hotel bathrooms. James also testified he filled Combs' med bag, which the court also heard Cassie Ventura and Dawn testify about. The Louis Vuitton pouch carried about 25 to 30 pill bottles, including Viagra, ecstasy, Percocet, Advil, and water pills. He will also fill the bag with personal items and typically at least $10,000 in cash, which he was told to use when buying condoms and lubricants. James said when Combs stayed in New York, he preferred to stay in the Trump International. Why am I not surprised? David James testified about a strange incident after Sean Combs asked him to deliver his iPod to his Miami hotel room in 2008. James said he knocked on the hotel door room, but no one answered, so he used his key to let himself in. He then saw Cassie on her back on the hotel bed with a comforter pulled up to her neck, but she did not move when I entered the room. James testified he saw a man with long hair walk across the room. Combs wasn't in the room, but James said he heard the shower running. I never spoke to them about it. I just thought they were doing personal things, James said. I never had conversations with Cassie or Mr. Combs about their personal affairs. Child. David James testified that Sean Diddy Combs used a lie detector test on him at least twice while he was working as his assistant. James said in the first year working for Combs, the music mogul brought in a former FBI agent who specialized in polygraphs to interview him after some of Combs' money went missing. It was very intimidating, James said. I had never taken a lie detector test before. James testified he had to take another lie detector test after a watch went missing. So you mean to tell me Diddy had somebody working for him that was stealing from him? I think not. Let me tell you what I think this was all about. This was all about intimidating James. This was all about showing his authority, showing him if something goes missing, this is what's going to happen to you. Okay, showing him that he had pull to get someone to do the test. This is a whole power thing. Okay, this is a whole power thing. You know, when you are lacking somewhere else, you become big at other places. You get what I'm saying? He had a big ego, a big head. You know, he thought he was the man. He thought he was that dude. Like I said before, a man like Diddy with money and a little bit of power is dangerous. They don't know how to use it. You get what I'm saying? David James testified that Sean Diddy Combs kept a video of him dancing while on ecstasy. He recalled that he got high at a New Year's Eve party and that Combs asked him about a video of him dancing while under the influence. So we had a videographer who filmed the parties, James explained. James told the court that Combs had asked him, "Hey Playboy, was that you dancing at the party?" Combs then said, "I'm going to keep the video in case I ever need it," James testified. He added, "He thought it would be embarrassing for me." Okay, so now the cross-examination begins. Sean Combs' defense lawyer, Mark, is now questioning David. You know, Diddy's lawyer is asking James about an incident where Combs and his security guard, D-Rock, went to a diner to confront rapper Suge Knight. David James testified that Sean Combs took drugs every day, including pills shaped like the face of former President Barack Obama, whom Combs met. There were various pills, but one was in the form of a former president's face, James testified. He then clarified that it was Obama when questioned by prosecutors. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Hold up. Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me Diddy was taking pills shaped like Obama? Like the face of Obama? What pills are those? Did he get some pills made like that? And to me, that sounds kind of sick. Because why would you want to take pills that are shaped like somebody else? Unless they're Flintstone vitamins. That's the only thing I'm going to eat that's shaped like a character or a person. And Flintstone vitamins, I mean, most of us took those as a kid. My favorite was the grape kind. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So, what pills are these? What's the name of these pills? I feel like Diddy taking these pills was his way of consuming President Obama. Oh, it's sickening. I don't even want to think about it. Okay. Pills shaped like the president. Wow. Okay. James testified that he quit the job after Combs told him to go to a diner to confront Suge Knight with guns. Wow. So the Punisher is going to testify today. A male escort named the Punisher, who was part of Diddy's freak-off parties, is among the witnesses expected to take the stand today as the blockbuster trial continues. Also expected to testify are Sean Diddy Combs' former private chef, Jordan Atkinson, and Cassie Ventura's mom, Regina Ventura. Cassie testified last week that a man known as the Punisher was involved in numerous drug-fueled marathon sex sessions known as freak-offs with her and Combs. She said she was forced into grueling sessions for up to 4 days with the party porn star and others, and risked beatings if she refused. Although Cassie did not mention a specific name, the Punisher is understood to be Sheree Hayes, a male escort and exotic dancer. I'm your private dancer, dancer for money, do what you want me to do. I'm your private dancer. Okay, let's get back to this. David testified that the items Sean asked for in his hotel rooms allowed for him to have a consistent environment. For example, he liked to have ketchup with him whenever he was in the studio. Ketchup was a big item that he always needed for his food, so it was just a consistency to create a consistent environment for whenever he was, James said. So I guess if he wanted to go to the Bahamas and he was in the hotel room, he needed ketchup. It's a consistent thing for him. Combs' lawyer asked James, "Did you know he put applesauce on his cheeseburgers?" James responded, "No, but I knew he likes applesauce." Whoever's putting applesauce on their cheeseburger is a new form of crazy. But we're talking about Diddy here. Cheeseburgers and applesauce. Oh, have mercy. Cassie Ventura's mom, Regina, has arrived to testify in court today. Regina took pictures of her daughter's bruises, allegedly from Sean Combs' beatings, that were released to the public on Monday. Last week, Cassie testified about how she was constantly terrified that her mom would find out about the alleged freak-offs and ongoing abuse. Okay, so David is off the stand. Regina, aka Cassie's mama, is getting ready to take the stand. David testified about an argument he had with Sean Combs' former personal chef, Jordan Atkinson. James said he was in Combs' kitchen in Miami when Atkinson told him where Combs needed to be. He said he grabbed both of the chef's wrists and told her to stay in her lane. Combs heard about the incident and called James to his room, where he warned him he could get fired. "I told him what happened and he said, 'You can't put your hands on a woman,'" James testified. Now James, why are you grabbing Jordan's wrist? Who do you think you are? Being around Diddy too long? Thinking you can do what you want to do? If she didn't put her hands on you, why would you put your hands on her? And then you telling her to stay in her lane. Now here's the trippy part. Diddy, of all people, telling David James he can't put his hands on a woman. Now this is coming from the same man that was beating on Cassie throughout their relationship. Wow. Let's continue. Cassie's mom takes a stand. Cassie Ventura's mom, Regina Ventura, is taking a stand. Prosecutor Emily Johnson, who questioned Cassie last week, will ask Regina some questions. Regina is asked to read out emails from her daughter that warned her about the sex tapes that might be leaked. Cassie Ventura testified last week that Combs threatened to release videos of freak-offs when he found out she was dating rapper Kid Cudi in 2011. So let's talk about this guy, the Punisher. An exotic dancer who calls himself the Punisher testified that Sean Diddy Combs wore creepy disguises while he directed the depraved, drug-fueled sex sessions he called freak-offs. The Punisher, real name Sheree Hayes, said his dozens encounters with Combs and his ex-girlfriend Cassie inspired a chapter in his book where he described them as a married, wealthy couple. Oh, he gonna try to make some money off this situation, huh? Can you imagine Diddy with those crazy disguises on? Every time I think about him wearing a costume or disguise, it will always take me back to that time he dressed as Pennywise and he was dancing in the hallway with his sons. But the one that basically took the cake was when he was the Joker. That was him. That was all him. He wasn't acting. That was Diddy. That was Diddy. And see, Diddy is so... He's so dumb because he could have went into movies. Now, I know he was in some movies, okay? But he could have extended his career into being in movies. But with a man like Diddy and all the money that he had, he didn't need to do anything else. He did consider himself as the king, didn't he? Sheree Hayes, 51, a male exotic dancer who was paid at least $1,200 per session to have sex with Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, while Combs watched on 8 to 12 occasions from 2012 to 2016. He took the stand in Combs' federal sex trafficking trial on Tuesday, which is today, to recount his experiences with Cassie, who defense attorneys are trying to paint as a willing participant in Combs' freak-offs. Hayes said he was first called to the freak-off under the guise that he was performing for a group of friends, but was taken aback when he found only Cassie and Combs in the New York City hotel room. The Punisher, who said he was given the stage name as a teen on the basketball court, said he didn't recognize Combs during the first sexy scene because he was naked and wearing a face covering. Oh my goodness. I wonder, was it a pig's face? What type of face was it? Come on, give me some more information. What type of mask or face covering did he have on? Was it one of those dominatrix masks, whatever you want to call those things that got the chains on it? Let's run it back. Let's run it back for a minute. Let's run it back. Now, the Punisher was given his name as a teen, on the basketball court. So I guess he was nice with it, right? He said he didn't recognize Combs during the first sexy scene because he was naked and wearing a face covering. I wonder what type of face covering was he wearing? Because he did say that Combs used to wear weird disguises and stuff. Hayes testified only Combs' eyes were showing out of his disguise, but that Cassie told him not to acknowledge Combs as he watched them cover themselves in baby oil and have sex. You know what? I'm sick of hearing about baby oil, like for real. As the session continued until 2016, Hayes told jurors he eventually saw Combs' face once he switched his disguise to a basketball cap, leading him to recognize him as the hip-hop mogul. Hayes testified that he didn't have any feelings for Cassie and that he never suspected she was being forced into the freak-offs. I did not get any cues. There was a discomfort with what was going on, he said. Well, maybe you didn't get any cues because she was, high as a kite her own self. She said she had to take pills, right, to feel numb. So maybe that's why, she wasn't giving off that. The Punisher said on the stand that he recently wrote and published a self-help book, which includes 6 pages about the freak-offs. I sensationalized it I wanted it to be enjoyable, he testified. Okay. So we know that Sheree Hayes, he's a former male exotic dancer with the stage name The Punisher. He's 51 years old and he worked as a dancer from 2012 to 2016. He got his nickname The Punisher when he was a teenager playing basketball on West 4th Street. Let me tell you about West 4th Street, baby. West 4th Street, you had to be nice. You had to be a beast to play in the cage. That's where he played basketball at, on West 4th. The cage, honey. The cage was popular in the 80s and 90s. And a little bit into the 2000s. You had to be nice with it to play ball in the cage. Okay? And then on the other side of the cage, it was the handball court. But yeah, West 4th Street, the cage, in the summer, oh, it brings a crowd. It brings a crowd. I'm not sure about it now. I don't think the crowd is all that now. But back in the day, oh yeah, the crowd was something else. You had to be a beast playing basketball there. There was no amateurs playing in the cage on West 4th Street. Not at all. Okay, Punisher, so I guess you was out there breaking ankles and all that, huh? Okay. Now, when the Punisher was hired to create a sexy erotic scene in 2012, he said he was told to arrive at Trump International Hotel at midnight to perform a striptease for a small group of friends. He said when Cassie called him to set up the occasion, she told him her name was Janet and it was her birthday. Sheree Hayes testified that after he was called to perform for a group of friends in 2012, he was surprised to find only 2 people in the hotel room. You know, Hayes said Cassie was wearing a wig and a bathrobe with nothing underneath. He was expecting a crowd, not 2 people. But anyway, she told me she and her husband wanted to create a sexual scene with baby oil. Sheree Hayes testified that Cassie Ventura handed him $800 after she asked him to have sex with her in front of Sean Combs. She told me not to acknowledge her husband, not to look at him when he came out, he testified. Hayes said the room was dimly lit with candles and that the furniture was covered in sheets. He also said there were bottles of baby oil and bowls of water, and that Combs expected him and Cassie to be glistening all over their body. Hayes testified that during his first freak-off, Sean Combs was naked, wearing a face covering that only showed his eyes and holding a bottle of lubricants. He said the session ended with Cassie Ventura going into another room with Combs. So then she came back and gave him $1,200 more before he left. So you guys know what my question is going to be. So when they finished, right, and Cassie went into the other room with Diddy, was that the moment he took the Punisher's juice and rubbed it on his, on his body? And then she came back and gave him $1,200 more before he left. The Punisher said he participated in freak-offs about 8 or 12 times. Sheree Hayes testified that he ended up recognizing Cassie because he followed Sean Combs on Instagram. Hayes testified it was sometimes difficult for him to perform during the freak-offs because Sean Combs was there. One time, Mr. Combs threw condoms on the couch next to us, he recalled. I struggled. It was a failure. He said he wasn't sure if his performance affected his pay. Hayes testified that at one time he thought he was the only person that Cassie was having freak-offs with and that it felt special. However, he denied having romantic feelings for Cassie despite what he told prosecutors during interviews. That may have been taken out of context because that's not the case, Hayes said. He told the court he never personally spoke to Cassie outside of brief bantering before a freak-off. Hayes' testimony is in direct contrast of Daniel Phillips' time on the stand last Monday. Phillip, another male escort who engaged in the alleged freak-off, said he would have liked to be Cassie's boyfriend and that the two texted outside of the 6 sessions. But the Punisher was like, listen, I was there to go to Pound Town and that's what I did. And I got my money. It was no feelings involved. He said it felt special because he thought he was the only one going to Pound Town. But, that wasn't it. He wasn't romantically connected to Cassie. Hayes said he never saw any violence between Sean Combs and Cassie during the freak-offs. He testified that he never saw Cassie acting uncomfortable with the SEX sessions. It seemed like it was consensual as far as I was concerned, Hayes told the court. I did not get any cues that there was discomfort with what was going on. He said he only saw the couple use marijuana during the occasion and that Cassie never appeared to be high when he saw her. Well, once again, she was on something to make her feel numb, and maybe it just gave her a blank expression. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he didn't feel like this was being forced on her. Okay, so Sheree Hayes has finished his testimony. Special Agent Gerard Gannon is now taking the stand. Gannon is the 10th witness called. Before we get into that, Sheree Hayes testified the freak-offs were a lot of pressure and that, he took medication to help with his performance. He said his last session was in 2016 when he failed to perform and never was invited back. Before he left, Hayes testified that Cassie thanked him for being private and respecting their privacy in terms of our interactions. So I'm looking at this picture of Diddy trying to warm himself up during the trial. And the person that's drawing these cartoons, these pictures, he looks like a maniac. He looks like a maniac. He looks like a fool, covering himself up like that with his hands. So what is Diddy wearing today, honey? So Diddy is wearing a blue sweater, right? He got his arms wrapped around himself, trying to keep warm. I'm trying to see if he got on a top underneath that. I can't really see because he's holding himself so tight because he's freezing in that dang on courtroom. Special Agent Gerard Gannon testified he was in charge of raiding Sean Diddy Combs' Miami home on Star Island in March of 2014. He said about 80 to 90 law enforcement agents raided the 20,000 square foot property, which includes a main home and a guest house. He said the search started after 3 p.m. that day, which is late for a search warrant, but they waited for Combs to leave because he was going on vacation with his family. Gannon testified that agents used a car to break down Combs' gate. The house was raided on the same day as Combs' home in Los Angeles. Special Agent Gerard Gannon testified that agents found pieces of an AR-15 rifles in the closet of Sean Combs' Miami Beach home. Jurors were shown the upper receivers of the guns in evidence bags. Gannon told the jury that aside from the rifles, agents found SCX toys, platform high heels, baby oil, lubricant, and lingerie in Combs' closet during the raid in 2024. Heels, pumps, stilettos. Heels, pumps, stilettos. I'm sorry, but I guess he was getting that stuff so that, you know, Cassie or whoever could be in character. Platform high heel shoes, lingerie in his closet. I wonder if he ever... Never mind, I'm not gonna say it. I guess you guys know what I was about to say, but I'm not gonna say it. Let's continue. Special Agent Gerard Gannon ended the day on the stand by showing the court pictures of items he found in Sean Combs' Miami Beach home, including lingerie and high heels. The jury has been dismissed for the day. Court will resume tomorrow morning. So, you guys remember that dance or whatever David James was doing when he was high off of X at Diddy's New Year's party? Well, he called it Diddy bopping. He admitted he sometimes joined in on the partying by drinking Ciroc and taking X, which he called Diddy bopping. Child. Diddy bopping. Maybe it looked more like tweaking, but whatever. Now, here are the next witnesses revealed. After Special Agent Gannon continues his testimony tomorrow, the next witness is Dr. Dawn Hughes. Hughes is a forensic psychologist with expertise in domestic violence cases. After Hughes, George Kaplan will take the stand. Now, last week, Cassie Ventura testified that Kaplan was an employee who quit after he saw Combs allegedly abuse Cassie. After Kaplan, rapper Kid Cudi will take the stand. So I'm going to say this before I close out. Cassie's mother showed proof that she would do anything for her child to keep her safe, because she took out a home equity loan in order to get Diddy the money, $20,000, right? So that he wouldn't embarrass her daughter, so that he wouldn't leak the tapes. Cassie showed her mother the emails, and her mother was just sick with it. You know, she was like, ugh, disgusting. You know? But Regina went on to confirm that the money was later returned to her by Diddy several days later. And while this matter was settled among themselves, this was not the only instance when Diddy acted out due to his jealousy over Cassie. He's sick. Who would do something like that? But if you go back to the 90s, okay, when he was trying to snatch Justin out of Misa's mom's arms, he was shoving on that lady. He was pushing on her. He has no respect. But, oh, if you did that to his mom, guess what? He'll be outside your door to party, ready to fight. Or put you somewhere you can't be found. This guy's insane. He is literally insane. Well, anyway, I'm about to get out of here. I held you guys long enough, okay? I hope you enjoyed my video. Please give it a thumbs up and talk to me in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts about the testimonies that happened today. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.